hope you've all had an amazing weekend, and I hope you are ready for the trading week ahead. Today, we're going to be looking at our prior trades. We're going to be looking at what the market is saying right now, and we're going to be looking at the trades set up for the next few days and the rest of the week. But first things first, I am giving away something very precious to myself. 1 second, just getting a phone call. All right, we'll mute that. Well, let's take a look at what I'm giving away. So I'm giving away my very own trade journal. Now, this is something I use and is very precious to me. It's something that really helped me level up in terms of my trading. For years and years, I traded just going off the whim, using it on my phone, buying and selling as and when. But when I really started to journal my trade, and I started to take notes, document my thinking pattern, my mental framework, now this completely changed the game for me. So I'm giving this away, and if you would like to have access to this, I'm giving it away for free. Just feel free to hit that follow button, and do follow me on all social media platforms, YouTube, Discord, whatnot, and then drop me a message and I will send you a link to this, and you can have this for yourself, and you can benefit from this and use this for your own trading. As you can see, it's got your equity curve, it's got your breakdowns every single day, and at the end of the year, it's going to put it together for you, and you're also going to see how you performed in 2024. So again, like I said, it's probably the best thing you can use whilst you are trading, as you're gaining those profits or those losses. Depends, how it's going for yourself. So that's that. Feel free to give me a follow, and I will send that across to yourself. So let's get straight into the action. The current fair price of Bitcoin sits at an impressive 70,963. Are we going to the all-time highs again? Are we headed for 100k Bitcoin? Is that what's happening? Is that the beginning? And is that what we're seeing right now? All right, so we're going to be talking about that. Now, first things first, let's take a look at our recent trades. So as of our last post, we mentioned that, let's take a look at some of the new members. This is a Discord, by the way. If you want to join this, the link is in the bio. Just click that, and you can be one of the lucky 10 or another lucky 11 that gets the daily updates from myself. But anyway, so this is what we were looking out for. We said we had broken structure on the 4 hour. We had our first higher high, and we're looking for that first higher low to be printed up for some more further upward action. We said we're looking at this VAH, value area high, which is confluent with our POC, point of control, and we're looking for that level to get that bounce. And now we're going to see whether that bounce occurred at that level. We also did call that trade, so we gave that trade well in advance, and we said, this could be the point at which we get a rotation, because there was a supply zone here, which where we reacted from. So we're going to take a look at that. We may not have time to look at the first trade because it's already long gone, but we're definitely going to have a look at the second trade. So let's just see where we were. So that trade was given, on, let's say, the 21st of March. We had about 179 people see that. I wonder how many of those people took that trade and how many, were successful. So anyways, let's see. How did we enter that trade, and why did we enter that trade? We're going to use the bar replay tool, and we're going to go back and see if we can find that level. And I believe it was around here. So if we go back here, just to give you some background as to what's happened. We've had a 4 hour uptrend, we've changed to a 4 hour downtrend, we've reacted off this 1 minute demand zone, and we've broken the structure as a result, and we're looking to print that first higher low, okay, that first higher low for some more further upward action. That's exactly what we were talking about, in this channel. We were saying that is likely to happen at this POC level. So let's see what price did as it came down to our level. We're going to get rid of this for now so we can see the chart clearly. This is our level, all right? So we can see on the 12 minute or the 15 minute, I'm going to go on the 12 minute because I like the 12 minute. We can just look at our market structure. We can see as we come down, we're printing lower lows and lower highs. Lower lows and lower highs. But something interesting does happen, and I think it's worth mentioning. So if we start from the top, we've got a lower low, we've got a lower high, we've got a lower low, and I believe on a smaller time frame we do have a lower high here, a lower low. Okay, so at this point here, when Bitcoin did this, there are a few things worth mentioning. First of all, we haven't quite yet reached our zone. Now you could argue that TJ, hey, we are part of an old demand range, so anywhere within this zone is feasible for a long, and that's fine. That is completely fine. I do not blame you if you entered a long here. I just didn't enter because of some other factors which I'm going to talk to you about. I was waiting for the zone because I thought this is a very nice confluent area, and it was actually in the midst of this nice little, decisional / last demand range before we moved up. So I did just want a reaction off the zone. I thought this would have been a juicier zone, so I did wait. And now let's see what happened. Well, we did get a slight break in market structure at that level, and we can see that perhaps on a 5-minute. We can see if we draw out a 5-minute structure. Let's draw this out in. I'm going to draw this out in red. So I'm going to change this to red. If we draw out our 5-minute structure just as we come into that zone, we can see that we have a structure that looks like this. We print that last level, which is our last lower high. We come down, we break structure. Yes, we do break structure. We break structure, but we break structure before hitting our zone. We break structure, we also get our retracement, all right? And not only do we get our retracement, we have our signal on market cipher. We have our prices coming down, and we've also got our momentum going up, okay? This is why I say I do not blame you if you enter that trade. Now, if you enter that trade, where would you have entered that trade? You'd have entered a long on that retracement leg, so perhaps there, okay? Now, what would you have made on that trade if you entered that trade there? You would have made, that would have been a 2.3 risk to reward, which is not bad. So what I would say, if you did enter that trade, there's no reason why, after you broke out of this range here, okay, this is the range high, after you broke out to this range high, there's no reason why you should not have done this. Boom. Move your stop loss to entry. That would have secured you that trade regardless, all right? Because your trade has moved, to about 2%, and that's enough for you to be banking in decent profit. Now, it did reverse on you, and in reverse took out the prior low, and it didn't break structure after, so it did come lower to get us a different entry. Now, I didn't enter that trade because I was waiting for that level. I was waiting for the zone that we talked about. Now, let's see what price did. So if we go back on the 12-minute, we can see our zone. We can see that price continues to come down, printing lower lows and lower highs, and then price comes down so aggressively. Like, that's crazy. Look at how many black bars there are there compared to white bars. Now, this is a very aggressive move down. As I always preach on this channel, do not touch a trade when you see something like this. Don't touch it. Don't think you're going to catch this falling knife and you're going to enter this trade here and ride it up. Don't do it, because the chances are price could just continually go down, all right? But what do we do when we see a scenario like that? We at least, at the very minimum, we wait for a second entry. Now, what is a second entry? Second entry is very, 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 very straightforward. Now, imagine we've got our price action. Imagine take this as your range. You're coming to this level. Imagine that your level is down here. So if we move that here, this is our level. Now imagine this is our supply zone or value area high or our POC. We're coming into that level. Now price is usually going to do this. Price might come down aggressively into your zone, give you that first tap, then it's going to go up. Price is going to go up, and you can see this over and over and over and over again in Bitcoin if you backtest. And then what's price going to do? Price is so nice. We love a cheerful giver. It's going to come back and give you a second chance, but in a very specific way. It's going to wick that old level. So if we had a line there, we can see that our prior low would have been around here. Okay, it's going to wick that level, and after it wicks that level, then it's going to give you that juice up. Okay, it's going to give you that juice up, and it's going to break structure over here. It's going to break structure there, and it's going to break structure out of your range, and you can look to enter on that retracement leg. All right, so that's why I preach it every single weekday. Every single weekday. So let's see what transpired. Let's see if we got that same setup again. So as you can tell, we've set our first low. Let's see what price does. Price starts to go up. Now, this low does not take out that prior low, so we're not entering there. We're waiting to see. Now, what have I done? I've set that high. I said, cool, now this is my new range high, range low, and we're gonna see if price wicks this level. We're gonna see if price wicks that level. Now, price does exactly that. So at this point, you can see that price has wicked that level. It's not closed below that level, it's wicked it. And what does this wick mean? This wick basically means into this level, there was lots of selling pressure that brought this bar all the way down. But then the buyer stepped in, okay, and brought all the way back up, okay, giving that bullish momentum that results in that rise. It also takes out that prior low, so it sweeps that liquidity. And what does it do shortly after? Well, you can also see, actually, it's worth mentioning that market cipher does not fail. Market cipher does its thing. You can see that price is printing lower lows, and then market cipher is printing its higher lows. That is called a bullish divergence. Okay, and that's telling us there's going to be a change in direction soon. And you know, divergence is kind of like, how would I explain divergence? It's kind of like a flag. If you think of like a flag on a pole, okay, you've got the wind blowing. Now, when the wind is blowing in the same direction as the flag, you don't really get much chaos. It's kind of going in the same direction you want it, so everything's fine, everything is peaceful. But when the wind and the flag, you know, are blowing in different directions, okay, that is indicative that something is happening in the market and there's about to be a turning point. So that is what a bullish / bearish divergence is. Sometimes you get a hidden bullish / hidden bearish divergence. All right. So once you understand this, you can easily call where these turning points are going to be. Okay. So here we have it. So if you use market cipher, where would you have entered this trade? If you use market cipher, you would have entered this trade on this bar here, you know, where you got that green dot. You'd have entered the trade there, okay? Now, if you're waiting for market structure, you don't have an entry yet. You can't quite enter this trade yet. Now, market cipher it does give you that earlier entry, and if we look at market structure, where could we have entered that trade? Well, to enter that trade, we have to wait for this level to break, that last lower high. Now it breaks here, so that's good. Now we're waiting for a retracement to see where we're going to enter that trade. Well, we've already retraced, we've broken out, and we've come back to test that old range extreme. Okay, so if we're looking to enter based on market structure, we would have entered that trade right around here. Okay, right around there we would have entered that trade. All right, so now some of you might be thinking, well, look at that stop loss though, TJ, come on, that is huge. That's not a great risk or reward. But of course, you can enter on an internal level and you can put your stop below the low which you entered in if you know the directional bias is bullish. Now, even if you put your stop loss all the way down here, for this particular trade, it was still a decent trade. Okay, so we're going to see that. We're going to have a look and see how well this trade did. Well, as you can see, price goes and creates a series of high lows and high highs. All right, so in this particular scenario, if you put your stop loss at this low, you would have got taken out. You'd have got stopped out of that trade. So, you know, you might have wanted to stick to sort of like standard theory, which is put your stop loss at the ultimate low. Okay, and that would have been where your stop loss would need to be. So let's see whether that would have granted you a decent trade as far as risk to reward. So as far as risk to reward, what we see here is that we come down here and we accumulate here. We accumulate here in what looks like a Trinity Model 2, where we have tap number 1, tap number 2, tap number 3, and off we go. Right, that seems like what has happened. Okay, but we're going to play on to see, you know, what price did. Get rid of that. Okay, we're going to pause it here. Now, at this point, we can see here that, you know, our trade is performing quite well. If we drag this across, you know, and we look at our risk to reward, at the moment, we're still at 1.43 risk to reward. So not the best at the moment. But, you know, we're in a profitable trade. We're in a winning trade. But it's worth noting that here, we're now realizing that we are in a range. We have our range high and we have our range low. Whenever we have a range, we're looking for all our range models. Now there are about 15, 16 range models that I teach my students, and they all know each one, varying from R1 all the way to R15. So whenever you have a range like this, R1 is a very interesting play, which is a range deflection from the range high. I was looking at this range high and I saw, well, we've got our range high over here, and we've also got this supply zone above our range high, which could be beautiful juice for price to simply rally up and then reverse. Price could rally up and then reverse down. But then we start to do something interesting. We start to accumulate or distribute, whatever you want to call it. We start to distribute at this level, all right? And what do I mean by we start to distribute at this level? I mean, we go from printing higher highs and higher lows, okay? And then we go into a range setup, all right? Which means price may be losing momentum, all right? Now, it could be losing momentum for a few reasons. It could be taking a pause before it goes further up, or it could be getting ready to reverse. I was cautious. I wasn't ready to enter a short here because I said I'm going to wait for my higher predicted probability level, which is that range high, before I get a rotation. Okay, so now let's see what happened. Well, price played around and then bang, it goes up and it breaks out of that range. Okay, cool. Now price breaks out of that range and it breaks to where we are right now. Let's see where that is. So that is where we are right now at 70,619. So let's compare. If you entered using Market Cipher, man, now they're giving you a juicy trade. About an 8, no, probably higher. Almost a 9 risk to reward, which is crazy. If you entered using market structure, you'd have banked about a 3 risk to reward, which is not the end of the world. You know, still a good trade, still a decent trade. And we're going to get rid of that one. Now, which trade did I enter? I actually entered using market structure, where I entered around 63,000. Now we can see that. So on our Discord, we kind of try and celebrate each other here, and we post our profits here. We have a profit wall, and so here you can see that current trade. I entered at 63,301, and it's gone up to 70,792. Okay, so that was a 585% trade. About a 5, almost a 6 risk to reward if we do the calculations. So I'm quite pleased with that one. And my stop loss is at entry, and I'm looking to play with house money. I'm looking to see what price gives me. Now, okay, so what are our trades going into this week? We've obviously broken out of this zone. Now it's clear to see here, if we go on let's say perhaps on the 1 hour, it's clear to see that Bitcoin is trying to touch that all-time high. It's trying to retest it. Is there a possibility that Bitcoin has had the first tap, doing whatever it does, coming back for that second entry before it dies down? Yes, that is a possibility. And that's why we're ready for R1, our range model 1. Okay? Now, is there a possibility that we take out all this liquidity, all these, sell orders here? Yes, we've already taken this out, we've taken that out, we've taken that out. Can we take this and finally take that before we get a rotation? Of course, that's a possibility. Now, is there a possibility that we break above the all-time highs and carry on moving further up? Yes, that is a possibility. So we're going to be looking at this level to see what price action does at this level. If we get our bearish signs, I'm shorting that. But if we do not, then we're going to wait for it to break, look to enter on that retracement to take that further up. All right. So that's what we're looking out for as far as our next trades go. And on a local time frame, on a local scale, we can see that we also broke a nice trend line here. And breaking of a nice trend line is a sign that structure is changing and direction is changing. So that seems to be what we're looking out for. Now we have put in a higher high. Where could this bounce at to get a continuation play? One way to look at where it could bounce from is to look at our old demand. Another way is to look at the top of that old demand, look for some demand zones in this leg. Now, a last way to also do that is to use our fixed range to analyze where is the value area high, where is the POC, I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to be posting all the levels in the photo I post. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow.